Okay, let's do a walk around here of this 2014 Lexus IS350. As you can see, it's significantly updated for 2014. The body is entirely new. It is about 3 inches longer now than it was previously, and that was done to address one of the complaints with the old car, which was that, like the Mercedes CLA, it had a pretty crimped back seat. So this car now is about the same size as a BMW 3, slightly smaller than an Audi A4, and a bit bigger than an Audi A3. I also think it is an extremely good-looking car. I think they did a fantastic job with this thing. People who've read my reviews of other recent Lexus cars will know that I've made fun of the front clip, which to me looked kind of like a Cylon Centurion from Battlestar Galactica. Let me walk around here in the front. You can take a look at this. Lexus calls this the double spindle. In this case, I think they did a really fantastic job with it. It looks really aggressive, really fierce, and very distinctive. If you look at this car, it looks like it sits a lot lower than the previous car, but that's actually kind of a visual illusion that they've achieved by... If you look at it from the front here, you can see these pleats on either side of the hood, which taper off to the back, and then you've got these nice little radiused bulges over the wheel wells, and that, along with this really big grille and these really narrow eye slits, which also, little detail touch. If you look, the little kind of stylized L and the underbrows here also show a stylized L. Really gives the car a very, very sporty countenance, and particularly for a Lexus. Let's have a look at the back seats, which are now human viable. I really like the Mercedes CLA, but the back seats are preposterous. They have 27.5 inches of legroom, which is great if you're Eric the Midget, but other than that, they have about 32.5 here, which isn't quite as much as you get in a BMW 3, or surprisingly in the compact Audi A3, but nonetheless, it's definitely decent now. Move to the inside of the car. They also did a very, very nice job with the interior. It has some echoes of the original IS300 from back in the early 2000s. Let me start the car here and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so you've got that chronometer style sport bike like big tack in the center of the cluster. Of course, now instead of being physical or digital, it's LED. And let me show you one of the neat features that the car has. If you push this button, see how it slides over to the right, and then to the left you'll have the secondary readouts. Let me get that engaged. There you can see the secondary readouts for the audio system, the apps, the infotainment, and the satellite, which is kind of nice because you don't have to look and pan the camera over right to the primary cluster here for the secondary information. This stuff is all right there in the driver's line of sight, which is nice. Here's the center console. This model is an F Sport, so I've got the additional Sport S Plus setting, which gives you more aggressive throttle tip-in, as well as shifts, and it also firms up the adjustable suspension settings. One thing I really like about this car, and which I've hated in every other car that has it, it's kind of dark in here, let me see if I can get some light on it. These finger touch haptic controls are becoming very popular, particularly in higher end cars. What you're supposed to do is just swipe your finger up and down to change the input rather than turning or pushing on something. And in most of the cars that I've test driven that have this system, the touch sensitive controls are not very touch sensitive, or they're too sensitive. So you find yourself, and it's frustrating, going up and down, or pushing and pushing to try to get it to do what it's supposed to do. But whereas, if you watch this one, see how it actually tracks directly with my finger? It goes up and it goes down, and I don't have to go back and hit it again to get it to go up or down. I really like that. They did a really nice job. I also like the look of this angled center cluster here. It's very, very jet fighter-like, I think. And it's nicely set off by this old-timey style clock, which doesn't look old fogey. It's just very nicely done, very tastefully done. Another thing I want to show you, if I can get the angle on it here, this is uniquely Lexus. This is their mouse input controller, but as you can see, it's got this very ergonomic pad that you put your hand on, rest your hand on it, which is very convenient, and then you've got not really a mouse, but a toggle that you move left and right, and I'm going to pan up so you can see the display. And as you can see, it doesn't go all over the place. It's got a nice amount of drag built into it so that you can actually discriminate between one place on that screen and the next. A lot of the mice you find if you touch it, it just kind of swipes all over the place, and it's really awkward and difficult to use, particularly when the car is moving. I like this a lot. Again, other reviewers have criticized it. I wouldn't necessarily listen to them. If you're interested in a car in this class, I would try this before you critique it. The cup holders are a little bit awkward because they're back over here, so if you're driving, you'd have to reach back here to get your coffee cup, but it's a small gripe. Let me shut her down again and move outside. Probably the only big beef that I would level at this car, well, I've got a couple. They still sell the IS350, which is the same basic car with the carryover 2.5 liter, 208 horsepower. It's early in the morning, excuse me, I can't remember exactly. I think it's 208 horsepower V6. And that engine is just too small and too underpowered for this car. The 0 to 60 time with that engine is about 7.5 seconds, and that might be okay if the gas mileage were exceptionally good, but it's actually worse than other cars in this segment that have much stronger engines and much better performance. At least with the V6, you get very good performance and, you know, okay gas mileage. And by the way, the fact that you can get a big V6 in this car, and even the standard engine is still a 6, is an interesting counterpoint to a lot of the other cars in this segment, which now come with 4s, and in some cases, as in the case of the Audi A4, don't offer anything other than 4s with turbochargers. And that gives you a nice torquey and big engine, and in this case, I should mention also that Lexus includes or has incorporated into it a boombox air intake system that accentuates the sound of the thing when you floor it, and it really sounds tough, and it's just a lot of fun to drive. If it were up to me, if I were the decider over at Lexus, I'd go whole hog and offer this car with a bit more power. The F Sport package is mainly an appearance package. You do get some suspension upgrades. You do get more aggressive wheel and tire package. The back tires are staggered relative to the front. They're bigger than the fronts, so the handling is better, but the engine is exactly the same as in the regular IS350, excuse me. So I think they ought to probably bump that up by at least another 20 horsepower, and hell, it'd be even better if they did another 40. And what would really be cool would be if they offered a manual transmission in this car. That would probably cause a lot of consternation over at BMW. Anyway, I think they did probably a 9 out of 10 job on this thing. And anybody who's looking for a car in the class, compact to close to mid-sized luxury sport sedans, ought to take a look at this thing. And by the way, they're going to be coming out with a coupe version of this for 2015, which I'm really looking forward to. So the full review is up over at epautos.com. I hope you'll stop by and take a look, leave your comments, let us know what you think, and we'll catch up with you next week.